Look at this day. It's a beautiful day. This is the albergue I stayed at last night. As you can tell, it's very nice. And the town is, there's not much here. But then again, I really didn't get into town. This was really on the outskirts, which worked out okay last night because I didn't feel like walking through a town. But so we're off today on the Camino. Hey, I just wanted to make a couple of points, just a couple of tips. I'm trying to throw more tips into this than normal. One of the things that happened the other day was that we were going along. I had made friends with somebody, and we'd been going along talking. And we were following the path, and the path takes us through some brush and some woods and stuff like this. And then it takes us across train tracks, which I was not comfortable doing. So I looked both ways and I just scampered across. So did the person with whom I was walking. And when we got across, we stopped to talk for a second, and whoosh, a big train comes rushing through, I mean, very quickly. And so sometimes you're gonna get to a train track, be really, really careful, but that is the route, which leads to my second point. Some of these routes, what they do is there's a perfectly good road that, like, you'll be going around a corner or a curve, and rather than go around the curve on the road, what they'll do is they'll take you up a hill and down a hill to cut off the end of the curve. But you're just walking on a dirt path for maybe 100, 200 feet. And that's where I encountered the train tracks. So when you're going through, look at some of these things, because sometimes they just don't make sense, at least on the Wise Pilgrim app. And some of these arrows, it happened to me again yesterday. I saw where it was like, this time I didn't follow the arrows, but I saw the arrows, they're taking me up a hill and then down a hill and all through the circuitous route, adding distance, not much, but distance and elevation and things like that, when there was a perfectly little good curve that I could go around. Yeah, it wasn't dirt, and yeah, it was on pavement, but it was the difference of maybe about 200 or 300 feet of dirt versus pavement. It's silly, especially when you're putting in more effort, especially when you're crossing train tracks. So be mindful of that. Be mindful when you're looking at these GPS things and you're looking at the arrows, where they're taking you and what you're doing. Okay, so I'm probably waking up everybody in the neighborhood, but it is a beautiful day. So let's see how far I can get without getting lost today, because I've been doing a real good job of getting lost. And we will see you, I think, at Novalina is where I'm headed for today. A good 25 kilometers or about 15 miles. Not a lot of choices in the in the town, but we'll see what I can find. And I don't have a bed for tonight, which is unusual. So we'll see if I'm going to be sleeping in a barn with some cows, or if I'm going to be taking a taxi to a town, or if I actually get lucky and find a bed. But let's see what happens today. It's going to be a great day. There's the sun on my shoulders, hat on my head, and we're ready to go. Buen camino. All right, now is the educational part of the day. Hey, so some folks asked me about these buildings here. Let me try to get a little distance away from it. And the first time I came to Spain and I saw these, this was really interesting. I was thinking, what the heck? Oh, please go ahead. Please go ahead. I'm just talking into a video. But the first time I came to Spain, I was looking at these things. What the heck are these things? And the first ones I saw had openings between the slats. So let me come over a little bit closer here. And I was like, what the heck are these things? And someone said, well, they're for storing grain. And I guess initially the farmers use these for storing grain. And I said, well, wait a minute. They were very open, and I would imagine that vermin, rats, and the elements could get in. And the person explained to me, she says, no. She says, it's open because the air dries the grain, and it keeps it, because it's a very dry climate, at least where we were. It's very good for the grain to keep it out in the air so it dries like that. And I said, well, what about the vermin? And this is where the real genius comes in. If you look here, yeah, rats could climb up along here. Wait, let me get this in camera here. But rats can climb up along here, sure. But when you get here, they can't climb across here. And if you look, this doesn't have any stairs, but you'll never see a set of stairs going all the way and actually touching the building, because then the rats could get in. There's always a gap to prevent the rats from getting in. So this is a very ingenious and old way of storing grain and keeping it, the animals out, because the rats the animals can't get across here. That's why it's shaped the way it is. The other thing that I think is interesting about this is the person who asked me about this, a friend of mine, Betty, hi Betty, had asked me about this, and she goes, well, do people live in these? And the one I showed was pretty dilapidated, and at the time I said no, because I had always seen them used for grain. But apparently, as I'm coming through this portion of Spain, you see these as little houses and things, and you do see at times, I guess, either people using them for storage or for little homes or a little, I guess, back house shed or something like that. So these are quite ingenious, and I've answered that question. So there you go. I want to try to catch something here. You see that bird in the field? That's a crow, and the crows are very interesting here. They're black and white, and I'd never seen crows like that before. See them fly away? I couldn't get them, but you see, they're kind of interesting. Hadn't seen crows like that before, but they're just plain old crows. But where I'm from, they're all white. I mean, all black. This guy is black and white. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer. I know this must make for very interesting viewing. Let's see. Don't fly away. Don't fly away. Hey, let's see. I always fly away when I get the camera on. Nope, that's as close as I'm going to get. But look at that. That's a crow. It's black and white. Hadn't seen that before. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer. Keeps running away. Oh, there he goes. Okay, well, we tried. Maybe later. You know, there's something about these streams, these little brooks as you walk along, that the sound is so comforting, so relaxing. I could fall asleep listening to this. I now understand the smell of pine sol. My goodness, the fragrance right now, boy, I wish I could capture that on video. Boy, how it smells so good here. Really nice. Just a quick update. This is where I had lunch. It's a little bar. It's like on a beach where there's like nobody. It's this just quiet beach. And what's the name of the town? It's about maybe 5-6 kilometers from where I stayed last night. Moros, the whatever. But it's, as you're coming down the trail, you'll come down a trail here, and you'll see a beach. And the Camino takes you away from the beach, but there's a fork in the road, and you'll see a sign that says bar and 200 meters. Great place to stop for lunch. Definitely come here. Food is good, drinks are good, and it's a nice little relaxing stop halfway through your day. So, gosh, wish I could remember the name of this town, but it's about 5-6 kilometers outside of Munros or DPA. I'm getting the names all wrong, but maybe what I'll do is I'll look up the name of the town and I'll just put it in a note here in the video there so you can see it. But definitely when you're coming down the hill, you'll get to a fork in the road. One way goes the Camino and the other way it says a bar, 200 meters. Definitely worth walking the 200 meters for a quick, relaxing lunch. So let's continue. I think I've got another 5 miles to go before the end of the day, maybe 6, but we'll see. Talk to you later. Buen camino. Okay, as you're coming out of El Relayo, Relayo, you're gonna come across this bridge here. You're gonna come across this bridge here after coming down those hills. And after you cross the bridge, you're gonna see this sign, bar in 200 meters. Take it, go for a nice little rest. You'll walk down this path, cross a wooden bridge, and it'll take you to the beach where you can sit on the beach and have a very nice lunch, a few cooling drinks, and then you can come back and continue on your way. So just a tip to all my Pellegrino's of water, Peregrino friends. Okay, so time for the wrap-up video for the day. So this is where I'm staying. I'm staying at the Pension Parada, and I was lucky to find this place. So this morning I started out from, here, let me get the name. I'm terrible with these names. So I started out from Moros de Nelon. And as I said this morning, I didn't really have a place to stay. One of the things is, you know, if you look at the books, they do the stages, which in kind of a weird way, especially on the Del Norte. So you'll have a short day, and then a really long day. And the reason why they do that is because there just isn't a lot of support on Del Norte. If you go on Francés, you'll see there's lots of places. I mean, there's, you know, it seems like every 100 yards there's a restaurant in Albergue. I remember there were a lot of days where what we'd do is we'd start out, we'd walk for an hour and then stop for a coffee. You're not doing that on the Del Norte. On the Del Norte, when you can find food, eat it. When you can find something to drink, drink it. When you find a water fountain, refill your water bottles. And trying to find places to stay is a challenge at times. Not because of the crowds. In fact, a lot of the days I'm walking alone, which is really kind of terrific for me. I kind of enjoy being alone with the nature and all that kind of thing. But it's not great when you're well, it's great when you're trying to get to places and there's a lot of room in the places. But then again, there's a smaller market, so you have a fewer places, fewer albergues, fewer pensions, fewer restaurants. So you go in between these places and there's a lot of gap, and you're going to find that. So if you do walk the Del Norte, be aware and look at some of these places. Like for me, I'm trying to do about 25 kilometers a day or 15 miles, as I said. So what happens is I'm staying in these little places where there's maybe only one albergue or hotel in town. I happen to find the one in Santa Marina. That's where I ended up tonight. But if you look at the book, what they do is they put you in, they tell you to stop at Soto de Luina, Luina. I'm pronouncing that wrong, I'm certain. But they'll tell you to stop there. And I can see why, because especially at the end of the day, well, let me get to that in a second, but I can see why, because there isn't a lot between now and the next major stop, according to the book. I passed through several towns where there were no restaurants, there were no places to stay, there was nothing. So this was the first place I came to after many miles. And that's another thing, is when you leave Soto de Luina, 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 you're going to find that the road splits, the path splits. Now you can go up the mountain path, and I guess that's the mountains behind us, all covered in fog and clouds and things. But there's nothing there. There's no towns, there's anything. So once you start in the mountain path, you're committed to finishing that stage that day, unless you plan on sleeping in the woods. I would prefer not to. Then you can take the coastal route, which is what I did, and there's a lot of little towns, but not all of them have something. I was lucky in finding Santa Marina and finding a place to stay, so that worked out. But you think, oh, okay, coastal route, big mountain. If you look at the elevation gains on these things, it looked like it was not a lot of elevation gain for the coastal route, but in between the towns, you're going down and then up, down and then up, down and then up. And you go down these things, and you're going down the path, and you get to the very bottom, and you see a creek. When you see a creek, you know you're at the bottom, but there's no way to really cross it, so you got to kind of like tiptoe over rocks if you don't want to get your feet wet. And then you go up, 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 get to the next town, cross the next town, go down again. So that happened to me quite a bit. So when you leave Soto de Luina, you're gonna be, there's nothing. So plan on, or hopefully you'll find something. But like I said, I'm trying to make the days longer so I don't have that one big long day. So you want to do that. You do want to plan. You want to make sure you have your water, you have your food. I'm carrying sandwiches in my bag, because there's been a couple of times where I get to a place at night and they're like, we got no food. And so I've been carrying stuff. So with that in mind, those are some tips from your Stoic Pilgrim. I hope those were clear enough. But like I said, when you leave Soto de Luina, there's a path to the left, which goes over the mountains. There's nothing until you reach the end of the stage. And then there's a path to the right, which goes along the streets and along the coast, which is easier. Oh, one more point. Boy, you can't trust the arrows. You really can't trust the arrows. I was going along and I'm following the arrows. Then I realized I'm on the wrong side of the freeway. And not only am I on the wrong side of the freeway, but if I stayed on that side, it would have taken me towards the mountains and not towards the coast, and not towards where I wanted to be, where I could find a place to stay. So I don't know what those other arrows are, if they're alternative paths that I just didn't take, or what the deal is with that. But you got to be careful with the arrows. Make sure that they're leading you to where you want to go. Even if you go to the right, be cautious. So that's it from the Stoic Pilgrim for tonight. I'm going to go tuck myself in and call it an evening, because today has been a really good day. Not too tiring, but like I said, 25 kilometers or 15 miles. And tomorrow I hope to do the same. Actually, tomorrow should be a little bit shorter, because I couldn't find anything at the 15-mile mark. But I did find something at around 10 or 11. So it's a little bit shorter than what I want, but it'll do. It'll do, donkey. It'll do. Shrek quote. Okay, so that's it for tonight. Buen camino.